Picture this. You just finished a full dinner, you're not hungry, your stomach is genuinely full. And yet, when someone sets a plate of warm cookies on the table, a part of you wants one. Not because you need the energy, not because you lack the willpower to say no. Something older than your conscious decision is pulling at you. Now flip it around. That same person who can't resist the cookie will often, over the course of a whole day, fall short on protein without even noticing. Nobody sits there thinking, I've had too much protein today. But plenty of people overshoot on fats and sugars every single day. So here's the puzzle. Why are these two things so lopsided? Why is a donut almost magnetic, while a plain chicken breast is something you have to remind yourself to eat? If overeating were simply a character flaw, a self-control problem, you'd expect it to be random. It isn't. It's weirdly consistent, weirdly predictable, and it points in the same direction for almost everyone. Let me give you the answer right up front, because that's probably what you came for. The most useful explanation is something called evolutionary mismatch. In one plain sentence, your body was fine-tuned by hundreds of thousands of years of scarcity, and it's now living in a world of unlimited abundance, and those two things don't fit? Your appetite was built for a world that no longer exists. I want to be careful with my words here, because this matters. Evolutionary mismatch is a lens, not a verdict. It's a way of understanding your cravings, not a medical diagnosis, and not a license to do anything you want. Think of it as a pair of glasses that suddenly brings a blurry picture into focus. So here's what this video will give you. First, why energy-dense food, the cookies, the fries, feels almost impossible to resist. Second, why protein specifically ends up short, while fats and carbs pile up. And third, the limits of this idea, how far it's actually known, and where people take it too far. Let's go in order. Why junk food is so hard to resist? I need to give you one piece of vocabulary first, because everything else hangs on it. The term is energy density. It simply means how many calories are packed into each gram of a food. A calorie, in turn, is just a unit of energy, fuel for your body. Here's the intuition. Take a cucumber. It's mostly water and fiber, so a big heavy slice of it carries very few calories. Now take a spoonful of oil or a piece of chocolate. It's tiny and light, but it's loaded with energy. That's high energy density, a lot of fuel in a small package. Fat is the densest of all, roughly 9 calories per gram, more than double what you get from the same weight of protein or carbohydrate. Okay, now rewind the clock. For the overwhelming majority of human existence, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. There were no shops, no fridges, no reliable next meal. Food came in unpredictable pulses, a good hunt, a patch of ripe fruit, separated by long stretches of not enough. In that world, calories were the single most precious, hardest to find thing there was. Starvation was a real and constant threat. Now, think about what would help you survive in that world. If your brain rewarded you strongly with a rush of pleasure, every time you found something rich and calorie-dense, you'd be motivated to seek it out, eat as much as you could, and store the surplus as body fat to carry you through the lean times. The person whose brain lit up at the taste of ripe fruit, honey, or fatty meat ate more, survived more, and had more children. The person who was indifferent to those foods was at a disadvantage. Over countless generations, this preference got wired deep into our reward system, the network in the brain that releases the feel-good signals that drive us to repeat a behavior. We didn't learn to love sugar and fat. We inherited it. It's not a modern habit, it's ancient hardware. And here's the key move, the thing I really want you to sit with. That wiring was not a mistake. In the world it evolved for, chasing the densest food you could find was a brilliant survival strategy. The system was working exactly as designed. The problem is that the world changed, and your biology didn't. In just the last few generations, a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, we went from scarcity to a world where dense calories are cheap, everywhere, and available at any hour. The drive that once kept you alive now runs into no natural stop sign. Your reward system still shouts, "Grab it, this is rare and precious," at a food that is, in fact, unlimited. So when you can't resist a cookie after a full dinner, that's not a broken willpower system. That's an ancient survival system firing perfectly in an environment it was never built for. Engineers have a word for this. The trait isn't failing, it's misfiring. Right response, wrong world. This reframe changes how you treat yourself. If overeating dense food is a personal weakness, the fix is to feel guilty and try harder. But if it's a predictable mismatch between old wiring and a new environment, the fix is different. You stop fighting your biology with sheer guilt, and you start changing the environment around you. What's in your kitchen, what's within arm's reach, what you shop for. You don't out-willpower a survival instinct. You out-design it. Why protein comes up short. So that explains the cravings. But it leaves the second half of the puzzle unsolved. If we're just driven to eat lots of calories, why does the shortfall land so specifically on protein? Why not too little of everything, evenly? Let me build this in layers, because the answer is genuinely satisfying once you see the parts. Layer 1. Your appetite is not just a simple calorie counter. Part of what tells you to stop eating, the feeling of satiety, of being satisfied, actually tracks protein. There's a well-supported idea that humans have a particular appetite for protein and that we'll keep eating until we've gotten enough of it. In other words, protein is one of the strongest, "okay, I'm full now," signals your body has. Gram for gram, it's the most filling of the three. That's a great system, in the right food environment. If the foods around you have protein sensibly bundled in with their calories, then eating until your protein appetite is satisfied naturally lands you at a reasonable amount of total energy. Hunt an animal, gather some plants, and the protein and the calories arrive roughly in proportion. Your appetite for protein doubles as a brake on overeating. Layer 2. Now look at what fills modern shelves. A huge share of what we eat today is what's called ultra-processed food. Products built in factories from refined ingredients, engineered for taste, shelf life, and cost. And here's the crucial part. These foods are overwhelmingly high in fat and refined carbohydrates and low in protein. Chips, pastries, sodas, sweets, most fast food. The two things your ancient reward system screams for, fat and sugar, are exactly what the food industry can make cheaply and pack in densely. Protein is the expensive part, so it gets thinned out. Now put layers 1 and 2 together and watch what happens. Your body wants to keep eating until its protein appetite is satisfied. But the food in front of you has very little protein per calorie. So to reach your protein target, you have to keep eating. And every bite is dragging in a load of fat and refined carbohydrate along with it. You slam into your calorie ceiling long before your protein appetite is met. There's even a name floated for this: protein leverage. The food has been diluted, the protein spread thin across a flood of calories, so hunting for it makes you overeat everything else. That's the whole skew, explained in one mechanism. Fat and carbs pile up, not because we're gluttons for them specifically, but because we're chasing protein through foods that have been stripped of it and we run out of calorie budget on the way. Same scarcity-tuned appetite, same reward wiring. It's just that the modern food supply has separated the stop signal from the calories, so the brake never fully engages. And this is exactly why the standard advice, just eat more protein, actually works, but also why it's incomplete without the why. When you deliberately put protein-rich, less processed foods at the center of a meal, you satisfy that protein appetite sooner, the natural brake kicks in, and you tend to eat fewer total calories almost automatically. You're not overriding your biology. You're finally giving it the kind of food it evolved to read correctly. How far this idea actually goes. Now I have to do the honest part, the part a lot of explanations skip, because there's a real danger in a story this tidy, which is that it's so satisfying you start believing more than the evidence supports. So let me be direct about the status of this idea. Evolutionary mismatch is a framing hypothesis. That means it's a well-motivated way of organizing what we observe, a lens that makes a lot of scattered facts suddenly line up. It is not a proven law, and it is not your destiny. Cravings are shaped by many things at once: culture, habit, sleep, stress, marketing, individual differences. Mismatch is one powerful thread in that weave, not the whole cloth. Hold it firmly, but hold it as a hypothesis. And there's a specific reason to be careful, one that quietly undercuts the cartoon version of this idea. The cartoon version says, human bodies stopped evolving back in the Stone Age, so we're all still running caveman software, and the answer is to eat exactly like a caveman. That's an overreading, and we can show it's wrong with clear evidence. Human evolution did not stop when farming began. It kept going, and we can see its fingerprints. The cleanest example is lactase persistence. Lactase is the enzyme that digests lactose, the sugar in milk, For most of human history, people stopped producing it after early childhood. As adults, they couldn't comfortably digest milk. But in populations with a long history of herding animals and drinking their milk, a genetic change spread that keeps the enzyme switched on into adulthood. That's why the ability to digest milk as an adult varies so much from region to region around the world today. It's a genetic adaptation, and it happened after agriculture, recently in evolutionary terms and in direct response to a new food. There are other examples. Some populations that historically ate lots of starch carry extra copies of the gene for the enzyme that breaks down starch. There are regional differences in how people handle various foods, shaped by what their ancestors actually ate. The point is simple but important. We are not frozen Stone Age creatures. We are a species that has continued to adapt, unevenly and locally, right up through the age of farming. So what does that mean for how you use this idea? It means eat like a paleo-human is the wrong lesson to draw, for two reasons. One, there was never a single ancestral diet. Hunter-gatherers ate wildly different things depending on where they lived. Two, your body may already carry adaptations to foods that showed up long after the Stone Age. Trying to reconstruct a mythical caveman menu isn't following the science, it's overreading a hypothesis into a rulebook. Here's the guardrail then. Use mismatch for what it's genuinely good at, understanding why your cravings feel the way they do, and why the modern food environment is so easy to overeat in. Don't use it as a marketing slogan to justify whatever restrictive fad diet is trending. The lens explains the pull you feel. It does not hand you a rigid menu, and it never claimed to. The takeaway. Let me pull the threads together, because I think you can now see the whole picture in a way you couldn't 15 minutes ago. 1. Your cravings are, in large part, a mismatch, not a moral failing. A body tuned by long ages of scarcity is now living in constant abundance, and the friction between them is what you feel as temptation. Guilt was always the wrong tool. 2. High energy density food is hard to resist because your reward system was built to chase exactly that when calories were rare and survival was at stake. In a world of unlimited dense food, that finely tuned instinct misfires. It's the system working as designed, in the wrong environment. 3. Protein specifically falls short because your appetite partly hunts for it, but modern ultra-processed food has protein thinned out and fat and refined carbs packed in. So you hit your calorie ceiling before your protein target, and the surplus lands where the food is densest. 4. This is a lens, not a law. Humans kept evolving after farming. The differences in who can digest milk are the proof. So take the insight and leave the overreading. Use mismatch to understand your appetite, not to justify a caveman fantasy. And notice what all four have in common. Once you stop treating your appetite as an enemy to be defeated and start treating it as an ancient system responding logically to a strange new world, the practical move becomes obvious. You don't win by hating yourself into eating less. You win by reshaping the environment your instincts are reacting to, putting protein and whole, less processed foods where your hand naturally reaches, and keeping the engineered to be irresistible stuff out of arm's length. Your body isn't broken. It's just homesick for a world that no longer exists. Understand that, and you can finally stop fighting it and start working with it. If you want to go deeper on how to actually build meals around that idea, that's a natural next thing to explore. But even on its own, this one shift in how you see your own cravings changes everything. Thanks for watching. If you like health claims explained with the reasoning and the citations behind them, consider subscribing to Why Cited. The papers are always linked below, so you can check the sources yourself. And there's plenty more here to keep exploring whenever you're curious.